Imagine surviving wars, enduring irreparable losses, and still reaching 101 years old with hope in your eyes. This is the life of Domenico, a man who transformed pain into legacy. An impactful story, based on true events. Domenico's mental strength was the pillar that allowed him to withstand life's harshest storms, even before he understood how much this resilience would guide his path. Born in Italy, he carried the simplicity of a childhood marked by scarcity, where every coin mattered, every sacrifice was felt, and every effort held meaning. His family, united not only by necessity but also by an unshakable sense of dignity, made sure to teach him early on that survival was not just about putting bread on the table, but about preserving values no hunger could ever consume. Stay with me until the end, because I'll show you 5 simple practices to meditate and strengthen your mental health. This channel is new. Help us grow on YouTube, subscribe so you don't miss the next videos. Still a boy, fate carried Domenico to another continent. Moving to the United States came with both promises and uncertainties. Domenico didn't choose an easy path, but he embraced it with the determination of someone who already knew the world would give him nothing for free. With his small hands, still soft from childhood, he worked side by side with adults, learning to balance exhaustion with hope, fatigue with gratitude. Every dollar he brought home was more than help, it was a declaration that he would never abandon his family. His parents, even weighed down by financial hardship, never stopped repeating one lesson: truth is a man's greatest armor. They reminded him, over and over, that lies corrode character, and Domenico absorbed this as if it were a commandment engraved in his soul. Honesty became his compass, guiding his choices, shaping his relationships, and building a reputation that money could never buy. Even in moments when a lie could have spared him pain, he chose truth, because he believed it was the only dignified path to follow. And you? Would you have the courage to always choose truth, even when it hurts, or would you let yourself be seduced by the ease of a lie? And so Domenico's childhood passed, not with the lightness of play, but with the discipline of responsibility. He grew up learning that life demands more than physical strength, it demands strength of spirit. Little did he know that the trials awaiting him would be far greater than nights of hunger or long days of exhausting work. The world beyond his quiet home was preparing to throw him into challenges where not only his values, but his very existence, would be at stake. As a young man, Domenico was drafted to fight alongside the Americans in World War II, a call that changed his life forever. Suddenly, that young man who had only known the silent struggles of poverty was thrown into a global conflict, where each day could be his last. The battlefield was not just noise and gunpowder, it was a place where life and death crossed paths with every step, where courage blurred into the instinct to survive. He recalled those moments with a trembling voice. He saw the faces of friends who fell before his eyes, young men like him who dreamed of going home, but were swallowed by the brutality of war. He remembered soldiers who, without even time to cry out for help, vanished into deep waters, still clutching their weapons, images that haunted him like invisible scars etched into memory. Fear was a constant companion, the deafening sound of bombings made his heart race, reminding him that each explosion could be the end. There were no guarantees, no promises, only the heavy uncertainty that hung over each dawn. And yet, he pressed on, because giving up was not an option, and because he believed fighting meant protecting something greater than himself. But for Domenico, the definition of hero was never about applauding those who managed to return home. He would say, with conviction and respect, that the true heroes remained forever on the battlefields, where their bodies rested, but their stories stayed alive in the memory of the survivors. Even surrounded by irreparable losses, Domenico managed to preserve something rare in times of darkness: an optimistic spirit. He firmly believed that every sacrifice carried a greater meaning, that his fight was not just for survival, but to face the horrors of Nazism and protect the freedom of the country that had welcomed him. This conviction kept him standing when many had already succumbed to despair. When the war ended, Domenico refused to be imprisoned by painful memories. He rebuilt his life with his own hands and, alongside the woman who would become his companion for 50 years, created a solid story marked by mutual respect, deep connection, and true love. He used to say that the secret to a lasting marriage was simple, yet profound. Husband and wife become one person, learning to balance desires, facing difficulties together, and making decisions as if they shared the same soul. That bond, so strong and authentic, was cruelly broken. The tragic death of his wife in an accident struck Domenico like a devastating blow. Still, not even grief could erase the reverence with which he spoke of her. Until his last days, he described her as a kind, generous, and talented woman, someone whose presence turned a house into a home, and whose memory he carried as an eternal flame within himself. Domenico's life is proof that courage, truth, and love can endure even the greatest tragedies, and still leave a legacy of dignity and hope for all of us. Today, at 101 years old, Domenico continues to surprise those who cross his path. His fingers glide across the accordion with the same passion as a young man, and every note seems to carry the memory of all he has lived. He doesn't seek magical formulas or ready-made answers, and he rejects the idea of a secret to longevity. He prefers to believe that his life was shaped by a mixture of conscious choices, moments of chance, and, above all, the hand of divine will that guided him through even the darkest times. For Domenico, the essence of living well is not in accumulating wealth or titles, but in practicing honesty as a rule, respect as a foundation, and generosity as a compass. He insists that thinking more about others than about oneself is the key to building true relationships, strengthening bonds, and turning simple coexistence into stories of love and friendship that withstand the test of time. His testimony can be summed up in 3 pillars: simplicity, truth, and continuous learning. For him, each day is a chance to grow, every challenge is an opportunity to shape character, and every act of kindness is a seed that blooms into gratitude. Listening to Domenico, it becomes clear that his true wealth lies in the small actions that bring people together and create eternal memories. And it is precisely here that his mental health resurfaces as the invisible thread weaving through his entire journey. It was what sustained him when the world seemed to collapse, what gave him strength to transform losses into memories of love, and what allowed him to cross more than a century with serenity in his gaze and hope in his heart. Domenico shows us that caring for the mind is not just about surviving, it is ensuring that, even in the face of the greatest trials, we can live with dignity, gratitude, and peace. Now let's explore together the 5 practices that can strengthen your mental health, and the last one, almost never remembered, may be the very key to facing any challenge and starting over at any stage of life. Here's a practical suggestion. Science has already proven that listening to soft music and meditating on positive phrases helps combat mental fatigue, improves quality of life, and strengthens resilience. Set aside a few minutes for this every day. Play a calm melody, close your eyes, and silently repeat phrases that nourish your mind and heart. Here are 5 phrases for you to meditate on while listening to soft music. 1. I am grateful for every new day I receive. 2. My mind is calm, strong, and resilient. 3. I choose to transform pain into wisdom and learning. 4. With every breath, I find peace and purpose. 5. I carry within me the strength to overcome any challenge. These practices are backed by science, as shown in a study published by the journal Frontiers in Psychology, 2015. If you've made it this far, congratulations. That means you are truly committed to learning from Domenico's wisdom, a man who endured wars, deep losses, and yet preserved serenity and hope. His life is proof that the mind can be stronger than any external battle, as long as it is cultivated with discipline, faith, and gratitude. Throughout this story, we've seen simple yet transformative values: living with honesty, respecting others as yourself, nurturing love in marriage, turning pain into loving memories, and keeping the spirit strong even when everything seems to collapse. Domenico proves that true victory does not lie in escaping trials, but in maintaining dignity through them. He reached 101 years playing the accordion, smiling, and sharing lessons that span generations. If honesty, generosity, and mental strength were enough to guide him through more than a century, imagine what these principles could do for you in your own life. The question is, are you ready to apply these values and strengthen your mind to overcome the challenges before you? This channel is new, and it was created to inspire and show, through stories like Domenico's, that it is possible to live with balance, courage, and gratitude at any age. Subscribe and stay with us on this journey.